All right. Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Finally. End of the week. Morning, guys. Margin, Ghost, CJ, Mac, 3D Printer. Morning, everyone. Robert, Kavi, Shino, Chef. What's going on, Chef? Cybertruck. All good here. Not too bad over here. I'm pretty inland, so I don't really got to worry about flooding. But yeah, out by the coast in Naples, a little bit underwater. Morning, everyone. Dino, Tay, Keystone, Jacob, Captain, DP, Emmy. Morning, guys. Susan, good morning. SMCI yesterday, yeah, that was wild. That was wild. Comfort, good morning. All right. Morning, Britt. Yesterday, nice gap fill. Very nice. Didn't read it right. Didn't catch it, unfortunately. Yeah, just one of those days. Just didn't have it right for me. Jason, good morning. Really nice opportunities after the fail under that 20,400 level, which was very nice. Talked about it, just didn't execute on it for me. So hopefully you guys took something there under that 20,400. Any of those gaps. Caught the gap. Nice job, Ghost. Yeah, nice gap fill. Makes a lot of sense. Should have done better for me personally to take that trade. Hey, that's trading, man. I've been around long enough to be wrong, right? Always gonna have some days where you just don't catch it right. But that's why you come back the next day. That's the key. But hopefully some opportunity there. And then the downside demand holding strong again. So interesting morning here. Downside demands, the 20,200, 20,250 level. Definitely maintaining as of this morning. So going to be interesting to watch what happens here at this downside demand that we've had on our charts around that 200, 250 zone. That is definitely keeping this market higher as of now. So that's going to be the big watch today. Obviously, PCE price index this morning, some important information coming out in the pre-market around 8:30. So we'll see how that affects the markets, of course. And let's build a game plan. Have a good Friday. Get the hell out of here. Have a good weekend. And come back Monday like we always do. Monday, I have a surprise for you guys. There's a surprise coming on Monday. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. So make sure to come to the live stream on Monday, man. Got a surprise for you. All right. Actually, no, it'll be Tuesday. Tuesday live stream. Tuesday live stream. Fun surprise. Make sure to be here. Yeah, margin. It's percentage-wise, brother. It is what it is, right? If I'm gonna, I gotta stay focused on the percentages. Focused on if I make an X amount, if I lose an X amount, right? It's all within that normal, if I'm trading with the size I am, I have to anticipate that. So got to disconnect myself to that number, That's very important. Yeah, it's a lot, right? It's good, man. It's good. I'll be honest, right? I don't have that much emotion when I make that money, and I can't have that. Right? If I'm not going to be emotional when I make it, then I have to act the same way when I lose it, right? This is very important in trading. We have to disconnect ourselves from the monetary value, right? That's going to be key in the long term, right? I know it's hard to do early on when you start trading, right? Because really money is the driver. It's that emotional aspect of the trading. But I've sat in front of these screens for 11 years now. So, all right, let's get started. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's do it. All right. Let's start with the economic calendar. Here it is. PCE 8:30 Friday. That is today. That is right here. 8:30 a.m. in about 25 minutes. PCE price index, personal income, personal spending, goods, trades, balance, bunch of little things there, but very nice. 8:30 core PCE price index. Let's be aware of that. Today. Very important. After that, 10 o'clock, consumer sentiment, inflation expectations. So a little bit cautious, 30 minutes into open. Let's be aware of that as well. And that's about it. Yesterday, Costco earnings. I think it did pretty much nothing. I mean, a little bit down. Nothing that really changes, in my eyes, the sort of market or the chart too much. A little bit of a break underneath that 897 level on Costco, so could be an area of potential rejections today. We'll jump into it a little bit later, but just wanted to give you an update on that Costco move. All right, so let's jump into the futures. Let's get an idea of what happened yesterday, right? And so talk about this a lot, and I just didn't really quite execute it on it properly, right? We had our previous highs are very clear, 20,250 highs that we just sort of gapped up overnight above, right? And this gap up is fueled by, pretty low volume after hours action and just sort of a major gap higher over our upside supply. And yesterday pretty much just pulled back, right? Gave back that pre-market upside and found the demand back at those lows. So all in all, right, was yesterday's move breaking the markets? No, technically the move yesterday was just giving back in sort of extraneous upside move, a sort of ridiculous upside move, overnight session, gap up, pretty much just gave it back and has now maintained that previous high. So in terms of the structure of the upside move, it's still very much intact, right? Because of the hold of the 20,250 to 20,200. Now, if we break below that, that's where I would start to be a little bit concerned about, some more downside continuation to come. If we do see breaks under this 200 level, right? We saw the previous holds here. We saw the rejections here, the rejections here, the rejections sort of here, right? And we see the hold coming in both yesterday and here in the pre-market. So it's very clear as of now, after seeing this move, right? We can definitely have a good idea of what's going to happen if we break under that 20,200. If we do see the markets fail, right, and stay under that 200, then I would definitely expect us to move down to this low, right around that 20,270, and possibly back down into the 19,925, right? So that is going to be our line in the sand, in my opinion. The line in the sand is going to be 20,200 on this Nasdaq futures, right? 20,200 either keeps us in that upside structure market, right, creating that new, sort of brick low, that structure low, right, creating previous highs into new lows, right? It's either going to continue that and keep us higher, or we are going to fail it, right, and we are going to fail back below into this, right, into this previous structure. So it is very important to pay attention to what happens at 20,200 today on the Nasdaq. Do we close above it? Do we maintain it today? Do we find buyers off that level again, right? Or does the market start to look weak? And if we do see that close below 20,200 today, that would definitely, in my opinion, for me personally in my portfolio, if I see us close below 20,200, I would not swing longs over the weekend, right? I would get out of long exposure. That's how I would look at this market. If we do see a structure flip here and we do flip back below this 20,002, then I would probably get rid of my long exposure on a break under 20,200. That's sort of how I read this market as of now. To the upside, there are still some heavy supply levels that we need to be aware of. And the first one is this 20,400 to 20,450, right? We had this in our charts yesterday. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this 4-hour chart over here. So to the upside, we still have this high right here, which is 20,400. We have these rejections here, 450 here, 400, right, 450. So this 400 to 450 level, right here, 400 to 450, is without a doubt a level to be cautious of today, right? This could be what sort of keeps the market sort of in check today and doesn't really move it much, right here. This 20,400 to 20,450, we have to be cautious of the market just sort of failing to get any higher above that level today. Very much, I think a very high possibility today, a very likely outcome today, is sort of a trade between here, right? We sort of trade between these upper and lower bands. That I think is a very possible trade today, between the 20,002 and the 20,004 area. I think that's a very possible trade today. And if I start to see fails right up into this 400, this 450 area, I would definitely be cautious on chasing longs into this area today. If we see a stronghold back over 450, that's really an aggressive market, because that would pretty much trap all these shorts. And I think a hold back over 450 would be probably the most bullish thing you could see today, if that does set up. I'm not sure if that does. I think it's going to be a pretty decent battle getting back over this 400, 450. At least in my opinion, I think that's going to be a pretty decent battle. I'd be careful being too hopeful of upside through this zone above. If we do see the holds over 450, that would be the most bullish thing, in my opinion, to see on this market. Okay, so I think some pretty clear levels here today. 400, 450, 200, 250, 50-point ranges to each side, 50-point zones that I would be paying attention to. I think you could absolutely look for the pop and fade here. I think you could absolutely look for some kind of a drop and pop. Overall, my sort of read is that you might just stay sideways here today. Obviously, depending on what happens in about 18 minutes. 18 minutes PCE, that could change this picture. So let's make sure we sort of, for now, stay a little bit, waiting. We're waiting for that data to come out. Okay? QQQ, it's all about 490 in my opinion. So if we look at this QQQ, the pullback is quite nice and holding very well. All right, look at this right here on the QQQ. You have this 486, 485 zone, right here, 486, 485 zone. That sort of just has been, the high of this market. We got a gap up above it. We failed back down to it. And look at the holds that came in, again, at that 485, 486 area. So as long as the QQQ, in my eyes, is over 485, right, I'm going to call it 485, 486, that dollar zone. As long as we're above that zone, man, nothing really has broken. And we need to sort of make sure at least I think that we need to make sure we understand that, because it may, yesterday's move may be, may cause some heightened emotions on the downside, but really all it was as of now was a gap up, gap fill, right, and hold at previous highs. So in terms of where the market is right now, as of this very second, without trying to guess, it's still holding above the weekly highs, right? It's still holding above that 485, 486. So that's very important. The level that's concerning above is 490. This is the level that I think you're going to need to break for upside continuation today. If you do not get above 490 today and you don't hold above 490, then it probably just sort of fails at 490 and trades, in my opinion, probably within this 5-point range. So 490 is definitely the spot, right? You can see, look at the rejections on the intraday, into close yesterday as well. 490 is definitely the spot that needs to break, right? If we do hold above 490 today, I could see us, making back some of that downside move, possibly up into this 492, right? This little low over here, 492, 492.20. I think it was right around that 492 where the breakdown really started to come in. Yes, it was. So I'm actually going to put a level at 492. Make sure I'm aware of that level as well. Because 492 is where that breakdown really came in. That's sort of like the 20,400. Let me show you real quick. So here on the 5-minute chart, if we look at this, right, after the rejections right here of 492 and this low here, you started to really get that downside. So if we go to the Nasdaq, you can see right here, after you got under 20,000 or 20,450, sorry, you can see right here, 20,450. After you got under that right there, you got that downside. So the 20,450 supply on the Nasdaq futures lines up pretty well with the QQQ 492. So I'd be a little bit cautious up there. 490, the reason I have 490 on my charts, I'll show you guys right here. I'm going to go over on the 4-hour chart, show you here in the Qs, right? Look at this 490 spot on the QQQ. So right here, 490 on the QQQ dates back to these lows, sort of this breakdown point. If you get back above these lows right here at 490, this is back in July. I think that's an important hold if you do get back above it. Because if we look at this 30-minute chart, look at where it failed yesterday, right? Look at these 490 fails. And if we fail here again, right, then I think you'd sort of trade back lower. If you hold above this at 490, that could sort of keep this market slightly higher, maybe up into that 492, and maybe it gets excited. We'll have to see. But 490, 485, 486, those look to be the major levels to watch this morning. ES futures, still holding above this 57.95. I sort of readjusted it to 57.95 today. I think that's the proper level. Let me go ahead and show you why. So 57.95 on the ES is right here. It's these previous triple top highs, sort of this high right here. And we can see that general area is very much still maintaining, right? We can see right here, highs, 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 lows, lows, right? So that 57.95 is quite interesting. And I would be careful, shorting down into that level today. The level that held really well yesterday was our previous all-time high level. If you guys remember the 57.7850, the 57.7850 was a huge wick hold yesterday. Look at this thing. Right at that level. 57.7850 was a perfect wick low yesterday on the ES futures. So I would watch both those levels. I would watch both this 57.95. I would watch this 57.7850. I would be aware of what happens on pullbacks into those levels. If we break yesterday's lows, that's where I think you start to get weak into the 5760 downside demand down there. To the upside, it looks to me like this 5817 right here. We saw that flip on the intraday yesterday, which was a very important flip that I should have paid more attention to, right? You can see right here, this low, right there, and then look at the rejections right below it yesterday intraday. That created a really nice short opportunity that I just was not focused on and did not take advantage of. So, it is what it is, right? You're not going to catch every move on the market, but you at least want to understand what the markets did, right? So you can get every day that you come in and you pay attention to what the markets did, you learn a little bit more. You get a little bit more experience. So that is definitely clean. You can see that pre-market low, and then look at that, failure back below that caused that gap fill move, right? Straight up, straight down. Very nice. So that was sort of the rejection point yesterday, and so that is definitely a level that I would be careful of on the upside today, right? If the ES does push higher into that 58.1750, and you get this push here, I'd be a little bit cautious of that being a rejection spot. You got to get back over that rejection point from yesterday. If you get back above that today, which would be pretty aggressive, then you trade back into that 58.30. Man, at least right now, you put those sort of like likelihood scenarios in your head, which you shouldn't really trade off of, but you do it as a human. I think it's sort of unlikely that you see us get back above that. I think it's sort of unlikely that you see the Nasdaq just rip right back over this 400, 450 zone. Possible, maybe on the PCE data, right? After this really nice gap fill pullback long, right? Definitely possible. But I would just proceed with caution as we get up here, right? Just a little bit of caution as you get up into that 450 zone, as you get back up into this, rejection point from yesterday. You got to really get a feel for how much strength is out there before you just start nailing the longs back into those zones. So be aware up there. SPY, if we go to this SPY chart, really nice holds. Really nice holds. I mean, SPY still structuring higher exactly how it should, right? And yesterday, we have to make sure we keep in our minds that yesterday's, the gap up and the gap fill is just sort of the right thing to happen, right? Too much upside, too straight up, not enough strength, just sort of a low volume gap up. The gap fill was the right move to keep this market in check, right? If we gapped up yesterday and squeezed again, then you would have expected, something much larger of downside, right? Because it would have just sort of been running off fumes at that point. And so I still believe that the yesterday move was actually quite the right thing to happen in terms of the market structure, just because I didn't trade it, right? And you got to be able to man up and accept when you're wrong, and know that just because you didn't take the right trade, if like for me, I didn't short yesterday, right? I took the wrong trade. I didn't short it. I didn't make money. Just because that does not mean that what the market did is wrong, right? It's not what the market did yesterday. Actually, right, I need to be able to separate my trading versus what was proper for the market. My trading was wrong, but I think the market move yesterday was actually quite good, because you didn't really want this to gap up and then just squeeze higher, right? That would have probably caused more problems than anything else. So, nice gap fill yesterday, back down into that 570 demand, holding, back into the 571.50, holding. Today, we just have to watch that 573, right? That's the 573 that we need to be watching. If you cannot get back over 573, then this could start to reject, and maybe you start to see lower lows, lower highs start to form, right, off this 573. So that's what we're watching today. Do we see 573 fail, and do we start losing these downside demands? Is that what the market starts to do? Or are we going to continue in this sort of structuring, stair-stepping, upside move that continues to hold in this market? That has not changed, right? This structuring upside has not changed even after yesterday's downside, right? It has definitely held those stair-step structure levels, without a doubt. Even after yesterday's downside, nothing has broken. So today we need to pay attention to what happens at 573, possibly after this data. Do we get back above it? Do we create another structure low? And if the market closes above 573, nothing has changed in terms of this sort of just bullish melt higher. We have to make sure we're aware of that. So 573, big spot today. Can we hold above it? If we can, I would expect the SPY to probably trade right back higher into those yesterday's highs, right? I don't think this area will really stop the SPY if we see strong buying above 573. If we are able to reclaim above these rejection points and turn it into a low today, I think you will trade probably back into that 575. If you fail here, you trade back down into the 57150. You trade back down into the 570. Okay? All right. Levels are very much set. Let's just trade them, and let's make sure we pay attention to all and any outcome. IWM. Still a very interesting, slow, sort of flagging pullback. I don't feel like the IWM, even though it has been sort of underperforming, I don't really feel like the IWM's going anywhere. And that could be sort of bullish for it, in my opinion. This is still holding at that 216, right? 216 lows, 216 lows. Sort of a slow pullback, right? Back into this 216 area. And I think as long as the IWM is over here, over this, and over that 20 and 50 SMA, I think as long as the IWM is above that, this could just be sort of that slow pullback for something more. I think if we break under 216, that's where IWM, sort of fails this move. So I would be interested in what's going on here on IWM. It's a very slow pullback, very sort of formulated pullback. It's sort of just slow grinding lower. If we do see some kind of a break, in my opinion, back over 221, then this could sort of get excited, right? If we get a break back over 221, there could be some excitement on the bull side back above that level. So I would definitely watch 221, right? Obviously, it's been rejecting for now. So obviously, first thing to watch is rejections. But if we get over it, I would pay attention to that because that would be an interesting sort of break of this slow. I don't know exactly where you want to draw it from. You probably can draw it from right here, right? Sort of this slow, just downside move. You need to get over 221, okay? That's the most important. I'm actually going to set an alert there. And so make sure I know if it gets above that, okay? Dow Jones, Mr. Jones, actually very strong Dow. Holy shit, 42,200. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, though. Man, it's a strong Dow still, right? Nothing has changed here. This is the strongest looking indice right now, without a doubt. Look at that high. Look at these highs. Look at that low. Look at that 42,200. That is about as clean as it's going to get on a market, right? That's about as clean as it's going to get on the charts there. That is a perfect previous high into new lows. That's holding for now. So that's still a very strong market over there on the Dow Jones, Mr. Jones. Daniel Jones didn't look bad last night. Maybe he's gotten a little bit of motivation from the Dow here. Daniel Jones did not look bad last night, I will say, but he's still not going to win us games. So Giants suck. 42,100, 42,200. That is a very interesting area that continues to hold on the Dow Jones. I would be paying attention to that. All right, we got about what do we got? We got 4 minutes until data, so why not? Let's just jump into some stocks. First of all, 2,300 people here. Can we press that like button for me? Cheers. Some espresso. Wake up this morning. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Help me out. Ayúdame. All right. Tesla. I sort of want to wait to look at these. Let's look at the SMH. We'll look at some more market ETFs before we look at the individual stocks. I want to wait till after this data comes out in about 3 minutes. So let's take a look at that SMH. Let's take a look at what it did yesterday. SMH, pretty nice pullback, right, after the big gap up. Right, we got the big gap up on SMH. into that 258 supply, 257, 258 supply. Pullback, right? Held, which is quite interesting, held the Wednesday high, right? The 247 level right here. 247, that's Wednesday's highs. You guys can see right there, 247. Look at the hold there. So, still very interesting, right? Still quite interesting on the SMH. SMH still holding above previous day highs, which is that, obviously, as of yesterday, previous day highs, 247. Turned it into support on the pullback long, right? And maintain above that level for now. Also, still maintaining above the 245 and the 100 SMA. So nothing really yet feels broken here on the SMH, right? I still feel like the SMH is building this upside move. You can see that 245, that 100 SMA still holding, that previous day 247 level still holding. Really the upside level that's concerning now is just right here at this 258, right? You can see major supply at 258, right? This is like the major spot. This is the inflection point, right? You have your breakout, you come back to it, you hold it, you have your breakdown, and then you just sort of lose it from that point. This is, without a doubt, the inflection point here on the SMH, the 258. This pretty much decides, do semiconductors go to new highs, or does the semiconductor sector stall here, right? That's real. This level decides that pretty much. I would assume if you get a strong move over 258 on the SMH, that this is probably not stopping until all-time highs. So this is the big spot, 258 SMH, and you can see that for now, there is definitely some rejections coming off that level. So make sure you're paying attention to that. SMH might be getting to a point where the upside might need a little bit of a break. So be aware of that 258 above. All right, let's jump into the futures. Let's watch this on the PCE data. Let's see what the market does. Let's see how it reacts to these levels. Press that like button if you guys could. We got about 20 seconds until that PCE data. And we shall see how the market reacts to that today. As of now, we got our very clear upside supply, downside demand. And here we go. 2, 1. A little bit of upside, a little bit of downside, a little bit of nothing really. Move for me. Give me something. PCE 2.7, so it's in line. Yeah, and a decent little upside there. Decent little upside. I'm assuming the SPY is over that. Yeah, the SPY, look at that 573 hold. So, okay. So the 573 is now really confirming something. Now we're definitely going to have to watch 573. Let's see if it fails back below it, of course. It's still very early, guys. This could easily fail back down. So for now, we definitely know 573 is an inflection point. If we fail back below it, then, weakness back down. So let's watch 573. ES. Okay, so you're starting to get a little bit of failure up into that 58.17. Right? Up into that 58.17. Nasdaq futures starting to get a little bit heavy by that 20,400. Right? So we got to be careful there. 20,400. QQQ. Nice holds right now over 490. Not bad holds over 490 for now. That would be sort of a key watch, in my opinion, right? If we can maintain over 490. So that looks to be the key to me. Can we maintain over this 490 level post data here, right here? Can we maintain over this pre-market high post data? Can we see the Qs maintain over 490? That would be a big watch to me. If you can, then I see upside coming in, probably towards that 492. If you flip back under it, that could really trap the buyers, right? If you flip back under 490 today, that could really trap the buyers for that downside move. So That's pretty clean. 490, watch that. And then SPY 573. Same exact thing, right? That's what I would guide your day off here a little bit. Guide your day off 490 Qs. Guide your day off 573 SPY. That's very clean. Okay? All right. I'll get an update on this in a little bit, but let's get into some stonks. Tesla. All right. So Tesla, still fine, right? And that's the thing, right? The structure's still there. Upside supply is plenty heavy to expect rejections, okay? That is, without a doubt, should be expected. There should be no reason to think that we're going to just butter right through this high. So you definitely need to be profit-taking if you've taken this move, at least to some extent. 265, 270, you're not going to just squeeze right through this level. Right? At least I don't think you are. So make sure you're aware of that. You're definitely running into some heavy levels above. In terms of the downside moves, though, right? In terms of the downside moves, the structure continues to maintain. And so while we do have that upside supply up there, nothing is showing me that we're breaking down. So you can see 255 still holding and that 250 still holding. So I would definitely be watching 250, and I would definitely be watching what happens at 255. So look to see what happens at 255 today. See if that maintain comes in. If it does, then look for that potential upside move. If we pull back under 255, look for that drop into 250, and then I would look to see if there's longs that set up off that 250. Under 250 is where it gets a little bit more concerning, in my opinion. Under 250, you're probably going to get your retest of 245, right? We could still be looming that retest of 245 that we've been talking about, right? So watch 255, watch 250, watch 245. The structure is still holding strong above 250. Under 250, you let this thing fade to 245. Levels are very clean on Tesla right now. Let's go to the market real quick. What's it doing? Is market still maintaining? 573.15. I mean, it's like right above it. Not much yet. Okay, let's go to NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, the same sort of idea, right? NVIDIA, if we go to this 30-minute chart, is still holding above that 122, right? We can see 122, 122, and right here you can see 122 still holding. So as in terms of the pullback yesterday, the pullback really just came down into Tuesday's and Wednesday high there, or really Tuesday's high. You can see right here, Tuesday high 122. We got our gap fill pullback, sort of that upside, crazy upside pullback back into 122. And that level has definitely maintained for now. So as long as NVIDIA is over 122, I really don't think you can flip your mindset on it. If you get under 122, then you trade back down to 119.65, very clearly. Now, the upside level we need to break over to really think that this is going anywhere is very clearly 125. 125 could get this thing stuck. If you get over 125, then I think this thing continues higher. Excuse me. So 122, without a doubt, is the key level to watch for holds. Right? We can see right here on the 5-minute chart. We are definitely still maintaining that level. Right? There's no doubt about that. You have previous very clear highs that have double bottom load, right? And even in the pre-market today has held. So that is key. If you pull back to it, possible holds. If you fail under it, that's very much the short to look for, right? Under 122. If you get under that, absolutely a short to look for. If you get under that, you move to 119.65. The level that needs to break to the upside, once again, 125. Thank you, margin. AMD. Actually, one of the strongest semiconductors yesterday, which is quite interesting, right? Take a look at this thing. AMD didn't really even pull back yesterday. I mean, it did short term, but look at this hold at 164, man. That is a very aggressive hold on AMD. You're above that 160. You're above that 200 SMA. You're now holding that 164. If we go out to the 4-hour chart, that's quite a bit. That's quite a important level here. 164, 164. That was a very solid hold on AMD yesterday. Upside supply comes in very nice at the 170 and then the 174.50. But man, AMD should be watched at this 164 level. That is a very impressive hold yesterday. I would look for any pullbacks there to potentially create another long. If you do break under that level, you probably trade back to this 160 and this 200 SMA, and that would be another sort of pullback long that I'd be looking at down here. So 164, 160. But man, what an impressive hold that was yesterday. Keep an eye on that AMD 164. MU, yeah, not bad, right? Big earnings upside, maintained itself relatively well, has held above, and I think the most important thing is to hold above the 200 SMA here. So if I go to that 4-hour chart, I still think you want to see holds above the 111, right? For now, it's still sort of rejecting the 111. So I think you do want to see holds above that 111. But I think holds above this 106 and this 200 SMA is fine. I think it's fine. As long as it's sort of maintaining right here above this 106 and 200 SMA, I do not think this move is in trouble at all. Not yet. If you fail back under this, then I think you give this back, right? So 106 looks to be the key. Obviously that 111, and then you can very clearly see the 100 SMA above, right? So at this point, you sort of want the pullback here to see if there's a long, right? You sort of want the pullback to 106. Let's go to TSM. TSM, if we go to the 4-hour chart, take a look at this level here, guys. This is quite impressive and definitely something you should be paying attention to still. 181 to 182, right? That whole dollar point range on TSM right here. See these lows? These are major lows. This is 4-hour lows from back in July. Major July lows, right? Which ultimately broke and caused major downside. But 181, 182, take a look at this in the short term. What is TSM doing right now? Look at that zone, right? And so this is still very interesting, in my opinion, right? These lows, I would still be watching to see if it creates that next move higher. So definitely watch this 181, 182 TSM. That's definitely still an important demand down below. If you fail that, then you absolutely know that you can start to look short back towards these, downside demands. But this is without a doubt the key level. 181, 182, very, very clean. Thanks for the up to. Oh, wow. ES is really moving now. Holy shit. Pull back along off the gap fill, man. It hurts. It hurts a little bit. It hurts just a little bit. Because, the pullback long was always the idea for me, but I just had I didn't wait for the gap fill, man. That's really what it comes down to. So, hey, short-term memory. We're back again today. We make money today. Short-term memory. All right, let's continue. Broadcom still interesting as well. You guys can see the downside move did not break any kind of key structure here yet. You guys can see right here, highs, right? These sort of demand lows, and look at this again, lows, this 175 level, really nice, right? Really nice. 175, here's your highs, here's your lows. As long as you're above that 175, I think this thing stays intact. 180 is obviously the upside supply to watch out for, no doubt. Let's go to Meta. Meta, good pullbacks again yesterday, right? Down right to our 562. Perfect, right? Exact level, held again. Our levels are definitely leveling. No doubt about that, right? Our 562 has been on this chart since last week, pretty much. Again, another hold at 562. You got to hold above 568 today. You got to hold above 568 today, in my opinion. If you can hold above 568, it might be a little bit more like, hold on here. It might be a little bit more like 567. Yeah, it might be 567. Let me go ahead and zoom in on the short term real quick. Yeah, I think it's more like 567, right? Let me adjust that. I think it's more 567, 567, 567 rejection there, 567 here. I think it is more like 567. So I would say as long as Meta is over 567, right, this is still an interesting level here, right? You can see holds here at the 562, reclaim back over these lows right here, right? Reclaim back above. You can see right there. If we hold above this 567, this could push right back into that 574. So I would watch that 567, that 562, that 574. Amazon, sort of really not feeling Amazon as of late. I think it's sort of hit a brick wall up here at the 196. I'd like to see it really sort of heat up off the 191 again. So watch 191, but I think Amazon has sort of hit somewhat of a brick wall. Obviously, it's been a very extended name, and it definitely hit some major supply up here at that 196.50. So I'd be a little bit cautious on that. You definitely want to see this thing hold above the 191. 191, maybe like the 190s, 190 to 191 zone, right here is really where you need to see Amazon maintain above. And let me show you why in just a second. You can see right here on the 4-hour chart. Here on the 4-hour chart, right? Look at this. 190, 190, 190, and I would want to see us maintain above that. If you can maintain above that, then I think Amazon's still fine in terms of the structure here, but you do need to be aware of that upside supply that's just real heavy. So keep an eye on this 190 today. Could there be a little pullback long off that level today? Absolutely. Watch that 190. Google, still it's still fine. It's just not really going anywhere. But Google, you can see, is consolidating, right? Consolidation in a similar consolidation range, above 162, but still below 1665, right? 166.50. So really just a consolidation here. I'm not that interested in Google as of now. Just too much consolidation here. I'd like to probably see it on either side before getting involved here. ARM, yeah, I'll go to ARM. ARM 150 really is the big spot. Yesterday, it did not hold above it, but we're fighting right back into it. Where did it hold yesterday? Let's take a quick peek at this. This 144. Interesting. Look at this. Yeah, look at this on ARM, right? Let's delete that 150 just for 1 second. I'm going to put it back on, but let's delete this for just for 1 second to really see this. Look at this. Highs. Look at that hold, right? So as long as stocks, at least for me, right, this is how I trade. As long as stocks continue to do that structure, right, that structure higher, I stay on the same side of the move, right? So for me, as long as ARM is above this, that is still Thursday's highs, Monday's highs, Tuesday's rejection highs into support. That is bullish for me, right? So if it gets a pullback, I'm still going to look for longs at that 144. Now, if you break under that, that is where structure flips, right? And so you're back under that. That is aggressive to the downside. That's where you look to short this move, right? So this still looks good to me. I'd probably want to see it try to hold over 150 today to really be confident. If you're going to chase this long, right, without a pullback, then you're going to want to see it hold over 150. So watch that. Let's go to Apple, because Apple is still just guys, I'd pay attention to this. I know it's slow. I know it's not really moving yet, but look at the structure building on Apple here. Look at the sort of, the top, the build on the top side of this level. Look at this level here around that 245, 244. Look at how you had previous rejections here, and look at how Apple is building above it. This is a very interesting long, if not just an interesting area to buy shares, an interesting area to be, somewhat bullish on Apple, in my opinion. As long as it's above that daily 20 SMA, as long as it's above that 224, this is a very intriguing build above previous highs, back above these, right? Back above these rejections. It's just a very key spot for Apple. And so right now, we can see the build is on the upside, right? And it's maintaining above this area, right? So very nice, right? Very nice. 244, 245. I like that. And I'm going to continue to, you guys know we took the longs here and had a nice profit into the move yesterday. Took profits on it yesterday, which I think was the right move. But I will look for another opportunity if we get over this 229.50. This is a very interesting maintain and consolidation above this level. Tesla's on one. Yeah, she's on one over that 255. Is NVIDIA on one? NVIDIA's getting close to that 125 as well. AMD strong. The SMH, man, is just, I don't think it still seems like a solid hold there over that 247, even after yesterday's downside. Give me some stocks. Give me some stocks in the chat. Go ahead. Let's do it. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Give me some stocks you want to look at. I'll take a sip. I'll take a sip of water too. Gotta stay hydrated. Oh, Armin. IWM over 121. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Guys, this could be something to pay attention to today. Look at this thing. Watch this. That's interesting. That's interesting there. SMCI. All right, let's run through some of these. Speed round, lightning round. SMCI, guys. In my honest opinion, Ghost, and I'm gonna tell you, I talk to you guys like I'm gonna talk to my buddies. I wouldn't touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. There's way too much going on this stock. It's just not how I trade, right? You might get excited about maybe the possibility of some kind of news event type of trade. I'm gonna tell you what the honest truth. I'm not gonna try to say something that makes you that satisfies you. I'm not trading this thing. It's just it's just not something I want to be involved in. So that's my honest opinion there. MicroStrategy, man, it's been a sweet hold of that 117. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. And look at this hold over this 144.15 level. Right, look at this hold over this 144. Look at that hold over the 150 SMA. That really launched this thing higher. So, I mean, this thing's sort of gone, in my opinion. It's sort of gone. At this point, you got to be careful of these general highs around the 175, 180s, right? This is all just really heavy highs up here, guys. I don't think I want to be long into this zone, right? So, I'd be careful as it starts to approach up here. I don't even know how SMCI is doing a split now. Everything has gone downhill for SMCI since they announced that split. XLE, it's just not a trading one for me, man. I mean, if I had to guess, I don't like the technicals on this at all. I don't think you really want to trade technicals on the XLE, guys. The XLE is a little bit more news-driven, oil-driven. What's the oil futures doing? What's the energy? The news on the street about energy. Is it hot? Is it weak? That's sort of what drives the XLE more than technicals here. This thing's just been sideways for years. Not interested, at least for me, guys. Sorry. I'm gonna be honest with you. Snow, again, not interested. It's in an absolute shit show of a sideways range. I would not trade this. This is not something that is interesting in trading. Okay. This is going quick because I don't know why we even watch these stocks, to be honest. Let's continue. Dell. What a hold over 115, right? Nice hold there. Looks like we had that at some point. We definitely had that on our charts at some point. I don't know when, but we've created that level previously, and look at how it held there. Watch this 100 SMA, man. 100 SMA. That's it. 100 SMA. I like the longs off this level right here. 115. That looks very nice. Kava. Got to get over 128 on Kava. Pullbacks to 122 looks nice. Qualcomm. Got to get over 176. I've still got my alert there, actually. This alert's been here for a few days now. Got to get over 176. All right, let's get a quick update on the futures. Let's see what they're up to. So right into our 58.17, right? Right into our 58.17. Bam. Bam, bam. 58.17. That's the level. Right into it. Look at that. Bam. So, got to get over that. Nasdaq futures, look at this. Look at this. Look at that. 20,400. Right into it. That's a big spot. QQQ, I'd want to see it stay over 490. SPY, I'd want to see it stay over 573. But, yeah, that QQQ, or that NASDAQ future, 20,400, guys, that's about as clear as it gets there. Make sure you're watching what happens here at 20,400. That is important. Real quick, Microsoft, because that's one I usually look at. Sorry, I missed that one. Looks fine, right? Microsoft, 100 SMA, right there. 428, 430. 428, 430, right? Very nice. 428, 430 on Microsoft. All right, and the 100 SMA below. All right, guys, that's all I got. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Press that like button before you head out. Stay safe out there. Hopefully those levels help you out today. Hopefully we find some nice trades off them. And I will see you guys next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Peace out.